I'm going to inspire you to take your business to the next level, to understand what you want to be and what you want your business to be. And then the other people who are speaking and presenting, they're the ones who are going to give you the tools to do that. Well and truly before I'd even considered retiring, I knew that as a netballer your shelf life is limited, and also I knew that as a netballer you couldn't earn very much from the sport. So when I first started playing, I wasn't earning a cent. And then at the end of my career I had graduated to earning the princely sum, get ready, is $8,000 per year for playing for my club. So there wasn't a huge amount of money in it. So because of that, I had to build my business around me, and I couldn't earn my money from playing netball. So I had to earn my money from the business that I had around me. So that involved developing a netball coaching clinic business, and I still run that. So that's a school holiday thing that I run in New South Wales in the April and July school holidays. And in that business, which I started in 1997, and my very first clinic I had 32 kids and I thought it was enormous. And then when I got to 45 kids I was like, oh my God, now I have almost 300 kids, over 10 clinics every year, and I coach about 4,000 kids a year. So that as a business grew, and it grew whilst I was still playing netball. So for me it was all about planning for, okay, what am I going to do in the next phase of my life? And then in the last, I knew it was going to be the last 3 or 4 years of my career. I had a serious knee injury, so I had to consider how I was going to move into the last part of my career and then the rest of my life. So for me the key was always about planning, about thinking a couple of years ahead. Where do I want to be? What do I want to be doing? Okay, how do I get there? And I think if you can be thinking ahead and seeing, okay, when is the next major change event going to happen, then you can start planning for that. And so that when that event happens, you can just continue on with the same momentum. I'll be sharing my story, and right from the very beginning. And lots of people, I think, choose their career path based on what their parents thought they should do, and what your friends think and what your partner thinks. But I'm going to encourage them to choose what they do based on what they love, because when you work in something that you're passionate in, it's not work. But once you identify that, then the next challenge is, of course, to A, make it work, and B, to build a business that reflects that. Just going out every day and doing something you love, it might allow you to start a business, but it won't give you a thriving business. So then it's all about understanding the challenges. In every business there are roadblocks, in every business there are obstacles. And for my story, and I hope they can take it out of this, is understanding that obstacles and roadblocks are an opportunity to learn and to get better and to maybe make some changes. I'm a bit careful with who I work with, especially with my management. Mainly because and I say this to young athletes, choose your manager very carefully, because when they speak, people hear your voice. So be very, very careful about who you entrust your brand to. So I'm really fortunate, I've got a great management company. So they take a lot of the load off, and it's not cheap, but it's a really worthwhile expense. I think if I didn't employ that management company, I'd really struggle, because I chose them because they're a company who not only just deal with sports people, they deal in entertainment across comedy and drama and all sorts of things. So that you get exposed to a lot of different, avenues, and to a lot of different parts of the business. So I chose my management company very carefully. I've also got someone who I trust very much to do the administration component of my netball clinic. So I don't want to be caught up in organising coaches, doing coaches rosters, booking venues. For me, that's jobs that Liz Ellis doesn't need to do. My job is to turn up and be fabulous on the day and love all the kids and have them love me. And if I do that, then that's what people come back for. So I've given that part of my business to one of my former teammates, who is incredibly organised. Sometimes was difficult to work with when she was a player, because she was everything had to be just so, which meant that I knew that she'd be really good in my business. So I was really quite careful about that. And then in terms of, I've got a great bookkeeper, I've got a great accountant, I get good legal advice. So I'm really quite careful about who I go to get my advice. And then most importantly, I've got a couple of really good mentors who I can go to for advice. I can go to them when I need to make a decision, and they don't give me the right answer, or they don't give me the decision, but they ask me the right questions so that I can come to those decisions and come to the conclusions that I need to come to. From a netball point of view, I never got to really choose my mentors or my coaches because they were people who were appointed outside of my control. They were appointed by the association or whoever. But I had a great mentor, a great coach, who I had all the way through from when I was 18 to when I was retired. She was my club coach, Julie Fitzgerald. And she was the sort of coach who used to really challenge me to be a bit more humble and to be able to respect my position and to respect what they could do and all that sort of thing. So she was great because she was always challenging me to pull myself, to pull my head in a bit. And sometimes you need to do that when you're feeling really confident and you want to go out and conquer the world. You need someone just to give you a little bit of balance. And you know, she was great at feedback. She figured out for me the best way to give me my feedback was to show me things in terms of a video sort of analysis. So for me, having a mentor who understood the way I thought and to understood the best way to give me feedback was absolutely critical. Something that I never considered when I started my business, but which has a huge effect now on how I think, is the fact that I have a child. So I've got a little 2-year-old girl who is the absolute light of mine and my husband's life, even though she's very cheeky. So all of my decisions revolve around, okay, how much time is it going to take me away from her? And that gives me a totally different prism to look at my business through. Whereas I used to be a bit, well, whatever it takes, I'll do it to grow my business and to make money out of my business and to make my business profitable. Now I look at my business and think, okay, what can I choose to do that will allow me to spend the absolute maximum time with my daughter? Now, that doesn't mean I get to spend every day with her. Quite on the contrary. The way I've decided to work it is that I fly interstate. I live in the country, so I come to Sydney or I come to Melbourne or I come to Adelaide or Perth, wherever I've got to work. And I really try and cluster my work so that I'm away maximum 3 nights a week. Often it's 1 or 2, but occasionally it turns into 3 nights a week. So I basically look at my business and think, how can I do everything in a smaller space of time so that I get 3 or 4 full days a week at home with my kids. So for me, it's given me a totally different prism to look at my business through. But to be honest, almost everyone's going to end up in that situation where you've got a family and you want to spend time with them and you need that work-life balance. So you know, you need to make sure that your business is flexible enough to allow you to do that, I guess. I was always one of the best in my junior teens, but very rarely, I don't know that I could point to any team and say I was the best. But I guess what set me apart was my work ethic. And you find this a lot when you speak to athletes, especially team athletes, that coming through the ranks, they were often one of the best in their team, but there might have been someone who shone a bit brighter, but who maybe didn't have the passion and didn't have the work ethic. And that's what sets I think top athletes and top business people apart, is their work ethic, is their ability to say, this is going to be hard, but it's certainly worthwhile. And you know, there's a great quote that I saw in one of our gyms at the AIS once, which was, we choose to do this because it's hard, not because it's easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. And for me, that really summed up, you know, what my career was about. So I faced plenty of obstacles. You know, not getting selected in teams and injuries. Injuries for athletes are the major thing, or someone in the team is on court ahead of you. So, you know, you're sitting on the bench thinking, I want to change this. And to be honest, every time I came up against something like that, the answer was more hard work. And not always hard work in terms of putting in longer hours or anything like that, but working smarter as well. So, you know, when I speak on the day at the conference, I'll talk a little bit about how working smarter got me into the Australian team in the first place. Not necessarily working harder, although it certainly involved that, but working a bit smarter. So, you know, thinking about what your strategy is going to be, but being prepared to do the hard work to get there. And a lot of junior players towards the end of my career would look at me or come to me and say, how do I end up, you know, doing what you're doing? It's great. I've got to run the media, I've got a really good coaching clinic business. And, you know, I'd always say to them, figure out what your first priority is. And it really, in this situation, if you want to have that extracurricular career, your first priority still has to be, you've got to be the best in Australia, at least in your position, and you've got to be in the Australian team, regularly selected. Then you've got to be prepared to do a lot of stuff for free. And so the way I think of my career, it's a bit of a pyramid. So at the start of my career, when I thought, oh gee, working in the media would be a good thing to do, you do this huge bank of work for free. And it's not good sometimes, and it's boring, and you have to turn up to do things that you think to yourself, who's going to see this? But you do a huge bank of work for free. And then as you get better, then you can do less and less work for free. And now the work that I do for free is around charities more than anything else. So you can be quite careful in how you choose it. So it's all about hard work, and it's not sexy, but it's just how it is. That's crucial, investing in yourself and in your business. And you talk about investing time, and I don't think that that's something that's counted enough when people are talking about starting up a business, small or medium or big, is that time investment. And again, it's like a pyramid. If you do it well, there's a huge investment of time at the start of the business, and then as your business matures, that amount of time that you have to invest becomes less and less, because you understand your business. As your business matures, your understanding of it matures, and then it becomes less and less time that you have to invest, because you can invest more and more smarts, more and more understanding of how your business works and where you want your business to be. So that investment of time is crucial. There's an investment of money that you need to have. Very few businesses can start out of thin air. But there's also, you need to have an understanding of, if you invest that money, what's your expected rate of return? And that's a really important thing to understand before you go into any business. Visualisation, super important, because if you visualise something enough, your brain thinks that you've done it. So in terms of my netball career, as I got older and my body started to break down, visualisation was important because it replaced some elements of training. But it's also a great thing to do in terms of visualising your success. What's it going to feel like? What's it going to sound like? What's it going to be like when you reach your goal? And that's a really nice thing to do, because often it gives you the impetus to get up and go to training and keep going. In terms of the visualisation I do now, is not so much about success, but I try to spend a bit of time every week or every month sitting still and thinking about my business, and thinking, okay, what needs to be done? What do I want the clinics to look like next year? What do I want them to feel like? What do I want the participants to get out of them? And that can be done on a plane. It's not so much something that you can do when you're driving along, because you've got to concentrate on the road. But visualisation for me is a really important thing, and it's part of that investing in your business and working on your business rather than in your business, to spend some time thinking about what do you want your business to look like? What do you want your business to feel like for people who are coming in to experience it? And that's a really important thing. The first thing they have to do is to have some sort of vision of what they want their business to be. What do you want your business to look like? What do you want it to act like? What do you want to be putting into your business? What do you want to be getting out of your business? Because if you sort of start your business and then you have no goal, then how are you going to get to where you want to get to if you don't know where you want to get to? And a goal like, oh, I want to make money and not work that hard, it's actually not much of a goal. So you need to have your outcome very, very set, and be very clear about your outcome. And then you need to think about your processes to get to that outcome. And that planning stage is so crucial, because it will help you have an understanding of your business. So think about your end goal, think about what you want to get to, and then work out the steps that you need to take to get there. And that will give you a very clear view of where you are now, where you want to be, and then how you get there.